Welcome to the breakdown recorded for October 1st, 2020. This is the show where I break down some interesting topics and give you a quick synopsis of everything you need to know about them so you can stay informed and up to date on what's happening in the world and some interesting topics. Now, if you're new here, do me a big favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. It really does help us because it lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here, and hopefully we can help you learn something new. Now, we're going to be breaking down some big news stories that have come out in the past week and some kind of weird fun ones that I found. If you like stories like this, I post a lot more over my Twitter account, LukeBK. Put a link to my Twitter account down below. You can follow me there for even more fun and interesting news happening in real time, plus maybe some commentary and other fun little snippets I throw in. All right, let's start off with the 4 most promising planets in our solar system for extraterrestrial life. Though it may not be intelligent life, it may be some type of living organisms, on these different planets. Now, this comes from the Next Web. If you want to learn more about this, check out the link down below. But I thought this was very interesting. I wanted to kind of bring it out in the video because it's kind of a fun thing with everything happening out in the world right now. If you're looking to jump ship, go somewhere else, another planet, these may be places to check out. Of course, Mars is probably the most likely. It's the most Earth-like planet in our solar system. Long been speculated and argued and debated if it had some type of more life on it back at one point and later lost it. But we have learned that there is polar caps there, and those polar caps, I believe, may include some living organisms, even if they're maybe on a bacterial level. We'll see. But Mars is increasingly looking promising as we continue to study it for maybe using some of this ice and other things to try to turn it into a long-term colony. We'll see. You know, as they always say, at some point it's good to put your eggs in different baskets so not everything gets broken at once if you drop it. Europa, one of the moons of Jupiter, one of the 3 larger moons, I believe, if I remember that correctly, is another one of the ice-covered planets. Now the question is there an actual liquid ocean underneath the ice of Europa? In Clades, there's another moon there. Let me spell this. If you follow my YouTube channels for a while, you know I'm horrible at pronouncing names. I blame my dyslexia. But Enceladus, however you say it, is an ice-covered moon with what is suspected to be a surface ocean of liquid water, according to of Saturn there. Another big possibility, finding water, even if it's on the planet you want, but not have to haul it, be able to use it for fuel and other reasons, could be a huge benefit to exploring our solar system. And they wonder if there may be possible liquid there, maybe some life in it. We'll have to wait and see. What would life look like from another planet, completely alien ecosystem? Your guess is as good as mine, but we're very interested. And lastly, Titan is the largest moon of Saturn, and it also has some liquid on it, including seasonal rains we've discovered recently, dry periods, and surface sand dunes created by wind. It's one of the largest moons there in our solar system, period. So very interesting. Thought that was kind of cool. Love to know. Would you go into space and travel to one of these planets if you could? I would in a heartbeat. I think space travel is very exciting, very interesting, and I would definitely do this in a heartbeat. All right, let's keep on going. Some predictions say that up to 60% of movie theaters could close due to the current pandemic, even with them starting to reopen. Here in Michigan, they just announced in October, we will finally be able to open some movie theaters with reduced capacity. The problem comes in, according to some movie theater owners, with these current rules, I can only generate about $200 in ticket revenue per movie showing. And in the long run, that may not be enough to survive on, as these very strict limits on occupancy and more put a hindrance on their business. Many movie theaters are complaining that airplanes can fly full with people sitting a lot closer, but yet many movie theaters and states are still closed, which is really irking, as you may understand, a lot of the owners. It'll be interesting to see, with many movie theaters already out of business, if 60% of them go under, it could create vast areas where there are no open movie theaters at this time. We've had some here locally that have closed. One actually would have put an entire town without a movie theater. Somebody came in at the last minute and bought that movie theater and plans to reopen it when they can. Be interesting. Have local movie theaters in your area closed this year due to the pandemic. We have a pretty large chain in our town, and one of their locations they said was already on the border of closing, but this pandemic has kind of forced them to close it faster than they originally thought they would, as the continued blackout costs them money. They still have to pay rent and more on the facility. Didn't make sense for them to renew their lease on it, so we'll keep a close eye on it. All right, cheap, affordable, and green energy has been a dream for a long time. Fusion has been something that has been looked into. It will bring you a lot of the benefits of nuclear power without a lot of the bad ends, and allow you to bring a safe, reliable power source relatively cheaply. Now, for years, fusion theoretically has been possible, but we haven't quite figured out how it will actually work when we make it happen. Now, MIT researchers say they have created a model of what should work as a fusion reactor, and a total of 7 papers penned by 47 researchers from 12 institutes have studied it and said, yes, we believe this fusion reactor will be able to produce power. Power runs the world, and if we can offer cheap, affordable power for a fraction of the cost, that's great. For instance, electric cars are only as green as the power they're getting. If it's a coal-generated power plant, well, it's not necessarily the most green of a vehicle. But if we're getting it from something like fusion, which is reliable, doesn't require sun or wind or other renewable resources, can be built a lot cheaper than a massive windmill farm, for example, take up a lot less space, it is showing a lot of promise. We'll see how this works out, but MIT is moving forward with their plans to test this out, and they hope to get approval for their plans. I think this is really exciting. Cheap power makes life cheaper, which makes life more accessible to more people in developing countries. Fingers crossed this becomes a reality, but I absolutely love this kind of stuff. Check out the story below if you're interested in more scientific details. I'll put a link in the show notes so you can read about it. All right, SpaceX has been busy building a low Earth orbit high-speed internet network. You probably heard about me talking about it on other channels. Well, there's another use for it that the U.S. Army is looking into. Now, one of the big things the military branches use is GPS. Everything from weapons guidance to letting troops know where they are and more. Problem is it's susceptible to jamming. You can actually trick a GPS and show you where you're really not, or just completely block it in a region if you know what you're doing. Now, Army researchers say they believe that the Starlink satellite with hundreds of satellites in low Earth orbit could be used to make an unjammable GPS system for military purposes, so they wouldn't have to risk it. Also, potential civilian uses here. GPS isn't always the most accurate. Having more satellites like this could generate a more accurate GPS signal for civilian use also. It'd be kind of interesting to see how this plays out. But it looks like the Starlink system from SpaceX could have more use than just a high-speed internet. Very excited about that. Fingers crossed it works out like they say it will. And we'll keep a close eye on it. All right, a boy who is 5-year-old successfully used an Echo device from Amazon to save his mom's life when she had a seizure. His grandma had set up the Echo to call her whenever he wanted to. He was able to use that in order to call grandma to get help when his mom became unresponsive due to a seizure. Kind of a cool story there. We've used that for my grandma. She has very poor eyesight, but her hearing and mind is very good still. And we've been able to put some echoes there so she can call, which we like to because they're in the rooms. If she ever trips and falls, she knows how to call without needing to do it. It's a pretty cool feature there. So check that out. And a few more quick stories. Number one, it's always been the question, can a dead person ever be elected? Well, it turns out in Romania, it sure can. A mayor in a small Romanian city has been re-elected overwhelmingly to a third term, even though he died a few weeks ago from COVID. Kind of interesting little switch there, but it turns out that, yeah, you can. There's usually a system there where somebody will be moved up, or maybe the city council will appoint a new mayor in that kind of term. But there is a history, not just in Romania, but in other countries, of people being elected even though they've already passed away. And then their running mate or other people will actually become the candidate. We'll see. And often that happens because it's too late to change the candidates on the ballot, even though somebody may have passed away. The next person up becomes that candidate in that slot, and people vote for them based on that. But kind of a cool story, kind of a cool look at, yeah, this kind of stuff does happen. And lastly, we talked earlier, is it legal to post a negative review or illegal? Well, it turns out in some countries it could be. An American is facing jail time in Thailand for posting negative reviews of a hotel. An American is facing up to 2 years after repeatedly posting a negative review about a hotel where he didn't seem to be all that pleased. The hotel has complained that his reviews are damaging their reputation and pressing charges. So keep that in mind. Each country has different laws and different rules. Well, that's it for today. I hope you absolutely loved this video. Hope you learned something new that maybe you could use in your water cooler. If you did, do me a favor, hit the subscribe, hit the thumbs up, as you hopefully keep discovering fun things on this channel which you can use in everyday life, or maybe just have for some fun recollections. If you have any topics you want us to break down, or things or you want to point out for our videos we should include, leave us a comment or send me a tweet over on Twitter, LukeBK. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for your support. September was one of our best months ever. Significant a significant jump in new subscribers and in views across the board compared to August. So thank you to everybody who joined us in September. I really do appreciate it. We have big plans. Hopefully you've noticed the improved sound quality from our new setup here we've done. Hang in here. I really appreciate your support. I'll talk to you all real soon. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you next week.